Hi, welcome back to the Creative Pathways podcast. Today, I will be your host, Chelsea Jenkins. Nice to see you guys again. So, I know usually we always have professionals come on the show that's from the creative industry to talk about how their experience been, but we also been having some of our very own people that's been in the Creative Academy here at E4 Youth. So this is our last talk of the season, and we will be ending it with our host, Jalesha Bass. So Jalesha is a co-founder of a nonprofit publication called Shift Press, as well as the sister organization Institute of Engagement. And Jalesha has skills in game design, in development, public speaking, organization development, consulting, design thinking, global leadership, community engagement, and social media management. A queen, right? After graduation, Jalesha will be working with E4 Youth Partner Creative Action as a social media campaign manager and will be heading to Columbia University in New York this fall. So, without further ado, let's bring Jalesha Bass to the show. Hi, Jalesha.
Hey, you want to be having me up, bro, with this little bio or whatever.
I
I
mean,
it.
we love a queen.
Stop.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
That's
good.
great.
It's a good day. I ain't got no school. I ain't got no tests.
Oh,
Oh,
graduated Longhorn, and she just graduated this past weekend.
we just graduated.
Hey, we just graduated. Hook 'em horns.
Yes. Yes.
So to start off our talk, like, tell us, where are you from, and how did you end up in Austin?
Yeah, so I am from, okay, so fun fact, I don't really claim them like that, but I am from a small town called Angleton, Texas. It is like 45 minutes away from Houston. That's like where I'm from, like where my family's from. So I don't claim y'all like that. I really claim Houston just because I grew up most of my life in Houston. So I really claim Houston, Third Ward. That's really where I grew up at. But yeah, that is where I'm from, and I end up in Austin because this is where I came to school.
Yes. As we just mentioned, we went to UT Austin, so that's why she's in Austin. So we heard that you found a couple of nonprofits. Like, can you please expand on this experience?
Yeah. So basically, some friends and I started this organization back like it was the freshman year before college. And we founded Institute of Engagement, which is essentially a place where we sort of teach young people about organizing and sort of how to get involved with their communities in different ways that they can do that. And we give them the skills, the tools, and the resources to sort of do things that they are passionate about in the community. And We end up starting that through a grant that we got from the Simmons Foundation, where we were able to have not a week, a year long fellowship for students. And in that fellowship, they were able to have a week long institute at Rice University, where they got to talk with speakers and learn about organizing and different practices they can use. And then we had the fellowship that lasted a year long, where we had monthly workshops for them that we taught in. And I was one of the teachers for it. After we did that for about a year, we realized that we did not know everything. Like, all of us were all in college, and we weren't exactly like for sure, like everything that we were doing. That's okay though, because we had the time figured out. So we took a research year where we went to some conferences around the US, and we had a lot of retreats with each other, and we did some readings together, and we really just sat down and really like looked into the things that were happening in our community, which is Houston, Texas. Um, and we talked about those things as a group or whatever. And ultimately, after that research year, we ended with the Shift Press, which is a publication that we started in partner with Institute of Engagement. Shift Press was a really wild idea that we came up with. So originally we came up with this idea like during lunch at a Subway, and we were trying to figure out like what are we gonna do next? Like we've took a year off, like what are we gonna do? And originally, like when I pitched the idea to do like shift press, like let's do a publication, we were just everybody was just like, like no, like that sounds boring, like that's reading, like what are you talking about? Like we could do something better with our time than start a publication. Let the news be the news. Right. And so a little bit of time like goes by, and we ended up actually starting the publication. Like it just came back around, like it aligned so much with like our goals and the things that we want to do, that we just actually like decided to like do it. IE started like that as well. Like originally, like when Amy pitched IE, we were just like, oh, like nah, like that's not something we want to do, like that sounds boring or whatever. And then we ended up doing it anyway. So the same thing happened with the publication. um and it was such an amazing opportunity to be able to like actually like start it. Yes, y'all can pull up at Shift Press. It's the website, shift.press. But yeah, essentially, it is a publication where young people have the ability to talk about the ways that they build, influence, and experience power in Houston in general. And they are able to put those things on our publication. We pay people to write for us. And we were able to start the publication through a grant from the Woodrow Wilson Foundation. That was a really awesome opportunity that we got to do that. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I started those things and how they sort of came around to being.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, that you really was very passionate about helping your community, and especially back at home. This seems like such a huge project, that you worked on. And I know it took like a lot of community engagement skills and organization skills. So from this experience, like what did you take from it?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I learned with IE is that like one, like there's always room for improvement. I learned like how to like be like an actual like leader, like leading like these group, leading these students. Like I had never like been in like that position before to do that. I guess like I've done like little leadership things like in high school or whatever, but like as an 18-year-old, like we didn't have like an official like adult advisor. Like it was literally like me and my friends from high school was like, oh, we want to do this thing, so we're gonna do it. And then people gave us some money to do it. So it was like, oh snap, we can really do this. And so we started doing it. So it really told me like once I like have confidence like in myself, my ideas, because people really believed in the stuff that we was doing, you know what I'm saying? And I really like learned how to like be a teacher, how to facilitate better, how to be a better leader of organization, how to think more deeply, more critically about issues happening in my community. I learned more about my community and the things that affected the people that I was surrounded by. Or just like some things like I've learned like during like this time doing this.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love your entrepreneurship. It's very great that you started up this organization for younger generations to, begin their creative studies, but particularly in journalism. So, since we're on this topic of creativity, I mean, how did you discover your creative skills and talents?
Yeah, so that's so funny. Okay, so I went to Jenkins High School. Shout out to Yates. And Jenkins is a communications magnet school, and they're also a maritime magnet school. So originally, when I got to Yates, I was a part of the maritime program, which is about like shipping and handling and import export or whatever. And like originally like, I was ready to like work on a boat. Like my dream job was to be a shipping pilot, like the people at the shipyard who get on the boat to like help like the ships navigate their way through like the shipyard like in part. Like that's what I want to do. Or I want to be like a captain or something like that. You know, I don't know. I always strive to be a leader, but I don't know. They also kind of got me because I was in high school. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, you get paid like 500,000 a year to
Oh yeah, I
like,
know that sounded real good.
right.
Real good.
I was like 500K a year. I said,
And
listen,
you're in high school?
this back in the day when I thought $100 was a lot of money.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, so I was just like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do with my life. Like, with the whoop, like, I was a little maritime queen over there, Yates. Like, I was doing all the maritime stuff. Like, I got some scholarships. Like, I was supposed to go to the TSU maritime program too.
Okay,
But,
nice.
yeah, it was wild. I actually ended up getting a certificate in supply chain management from doing that program at Yates. But like that was like my thing or
Mhm.
whatever. And it wasn't until junior year of high school that I was like, that I started. I was asked to do like the morning announcements. Like before then, like I was just, I was really satisfied with doing like my little maritime thing and just, playing softball or whatever. Like I really wasn't doing much in school at that point. So when they asked me to do it, that's I was just like, for what? Like, I don't know. Like, it was just something real random, And I was just like, I guess, like, I'll do it or whatever. Like, I was a little scared at first. It's just like, dang, like, everybody got to hear my voice every morning. You got to do the Pledge of Allegiance, baby. I know the Pledge of Allegiance by heart, behind, back, forward, and
You
everything.
never can forget that after doing the morning announcements.
Can't never forget it.
Because I did it too, and I cannot forget the words at all.
Okay, good morning. But yeah, and so doing those morning announcements really like activated like I don't know, like me wanting to like do stuff like in a creative field. Like at first it was just like, oh, like sort of like talking about like things that's going on in school. Then it led to me taking communication classes. Like I was a part of like our podcasting class and video, and then I started doing like interviews with like people in like our community, like Bun B and things like that. And I was like, oh, hold on, like this kind of fun, like this kind of, this is real fun or whatever. And so by the time like I got, the senior year, whatever, and it's time to start applying for colleges and stuff, I was like trying to debate like, should I do like something with like supply chain management or should I do something with communications? And honestly, I'll be honest, I was really leaning towards supply chain management because from what they was telling me was that it was just more money. I was just like, bet, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't necessarily know like a lot of like black people who were like creatives who were, doing like the stuff that I was doing, like I pretty much only knew Melanie Lawson, who was like, the host for Houston. So yeah, I was talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so I was just like, that's pretty much all I really knew. So I was like, ain't nobody else really out here doing it like me, you know what I'm saying? But wasn't nobody in supply chain management doing it like me either, but they had money, so it was fine. uh, so when I was applying to UT, I was originally gonna apply to the business school and do supply chain management, but I ended up backing out because my sister's husband, he was just like, oh, business school kind of hard to get into, da da da. And I was like, oh, that's crazy because I was gonna apply. So I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm not even about to mess with these people because first of all, baby, if I apply to the school, I should get into whatever major I want to go in. But it's not me. They was just like, oh, you got to get into the school and the major. I was like,
Yeah.
so I changed myself to RTF. So I came in to UC as an RTF major. And I quickly realized at orientation that RTF wasn't the way to go. They was telling me classes I could sign up for and stuff we would do in a major, and they was talking about editing and the videography and all this stuff. I said, baby, I don't want to be behind the camera. I want to be
You
on
want
the
to be talking, huh?
right. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm very like interested in like storytelling and hearing about stuff people like want to talk about, you know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that I was able to recognize that about myself that I was interested in like the people and the talking and part of that particular field versus like being behind the camera. Like I want to be on the camera asking the questions, not behind the camera watching y'all ask the questions. Like so I was like, y'all gonna have to get me out of here because I don't want to do this. So I switched my major at orientation and I was like, I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna do journalism. Because they was just like, oh yeah, you can be on the camera on journalism. So I said, okay, bet I'm switching to journalism. What was the question again? I done just went off on this tangent, Chelsea. Yeah, what was we talking
We
about?
were talking about how did you figure out you were creative?
Okay, bet. So yeah, the point of me saying all of these things about high school is that I was doing creative things
Mm-hmm.
in high school. I was doing poetry, I was doing the announcements, I was doing like interview type deals, I was learning about branding, I was learning about marketing, podcasting, like all of these like different things that you can do in the creative field. But I didn't necessarily know that they were creative. They were not branded or talked about as creative. They were sort of branded as like these are jobs you can do after high school where you don't need a degree. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like I didn't know like it was necessarily like an industry. Like I didn't like really recognize these skills in myself. Like these are just like sort of just things I did in high school like for fun,
Yeah.
and people asked me to do it because I was good at it. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so I did it, and it wasn't until I got to college or whatever, and I started doing stuff with E4 Youth, that I really figured out that like I was like a creative. And so like fast track to like sophomore year is when I like got introduced to E4 Youth. And so coming into E4 Youth, I didn't originally even want to do anything creative. Like I wanted to be a creative mentor, like I have been teaching with IE, doing like stuff that I used to teach and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, like I can be a teacher or whatever. And they were like teaching about, stuff in the creative pathway, like video editing, podcasts and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, this is all the stuff that I learned in high school. So of course I can teach this to other high schoolers. Like I think this was like something valuable that I did in high school and I want other people to learn about it too. So I originally came on to do that. Now, why they end up hiring me, I don't know. Y'all gonna have to talk to Humberto. I don't know what made him make the decision because as a sophomore, I did this. I don't know. I felt like I wasn't qualified for the job because first of all, in order to be a mentor, like you have to like you had to like have a car to like pull up and go there. And when we got there, like after like my first day, he was like, okay, like what creative club do you want to do? There's one in Maynard, there's one in Pflugerville. And I was like, Maynard, Pflugerville, like first of all, I didn't even know where these areas was at. I didn't have a car. I was new to Austin. And I was like, sir, I don't even know what you're talking about. And he was just like, oh, like maybe like you like being like creative mentor wasn't the best idea. And I was like, y'all like figure this out at the interview, but I don't know, they still hired me, so it was a blessing. And he was ended up saying, like maybe you can do some stuff, as a digital docent. And honestly, Chelsea, I didn't even know what a digital docent was. Matter of fact, I still don't know what a
You
docent is.
you still don't know what a docent is,
I
and
don't know.
that's our whole job title.
I could tell you what I do, but I can't tell you what it is.
All right, tell us a little bit about what you do as a digital docent.
Yeah. So originally, so when I first got thrown into like being like a digital docent, it was to work on the Austin Digital Heritage Project. And I was like the manager of like the project or whatever. And honestly, y'all, I had no idea like what I was doing. Like I was supposed to, manage, communications with the coding team, to team who doing the interviews, to people who doing, who taking the pictures and make sure everybody got all their stuff done. And you know what I'm saying? Like I've never like, I've never been like in that like type of like leadership like position before to like do that like for a project or whatever. And I ain't gonna lie, in the beginning I was a little bumpy. Like Carl was like, girl, you're gonna have to get it together. Like, what is you doing with this team? Like, we got South by Southwest coming up, like you gonna have to get it together. And I was like, oh Lord, like Carl said I need to get it together. I need to get it together or whatever. But it was during like that project that I was able to really like learn like how to be a leader and like how to communicate, like work like as a team and be like a team manager. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like that like experience in E4 that like helped me, and we were able to like present at South by Southwest. And it was like my first time like speaking at like a big event or presenting like some type of project. It was my first time like networking and doing things like that, like with E4 Youth. And it was like here that like I was able to like do those things or whatever. And then like after that, I was able to work, in studios and figure out, something like I didn't like what I did like, you know what I'm saying? And we were able to start the podcast where we got to learn about all of these like different creative fields. And it was actually like hosting these podcasts for the past what like year and a half that I was able to like really learn like this. Oh, like I really like this, or oh, their job seems really cool. Like I would be interested in doing something like this, or oh, this is like boring, or oh, this too technical. You know what I'm saying? Like just like being able to like hear all the people come and like talk to us about it like was like super like impactful for like choosing like what I like and don't like.
Yeah, like I really feel that. And I know even though we work here at E4 Youth, I mean, we honestly have to give it to E4 Youth for always like giving us students a chance. Because, like you mentioned earlier, like you didn't have no idea. You still don't even know why they kept you, but they had faith in you. They saw things in you that, you didn't even see about yourself. So I'm really just happy that, E4 Youth gave you that light, and they are doing it for multiple other people that's in the field. So shout out to creative. I mean, not creative. Oh, sorry. E4 Youth. I was going to say creative pathways. My bad, you guys. But I mean, since you were talking about, yeah, since you was talking about, how E4 Youth really showed you what you did and didn't like about like certain job duties that they gave you, or things that they assigned you, you just felt like it wasn't it, or was it? Like I feel like that was really key to your like discovery, so like after working with like E for you for all this time, how did it prepare you for like your future career aspirations?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the way that like it helped me like for like my future careers is like one, it taught me like what fields I wanted to go into and like what I didn't want to go into, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was like like one like figuring out like what I want to do, like what my passions are, um, to even get into like figure out what I want to go into. But two, like with as far as like development for like career paths, we have the health dojo. And during like the health dojo is like it's just like a time for you to sort of like talk about like I don't know like your health like mentally, physically, like spiritually sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And they sort of give you like the opportunity to just like express those things and like figure out like ways to like do that because if your spiritual health or your mental health or your physical health is like not intact, like you can't do your job. And as a college student, like that wasn't like something that like I valued like before E for you, like you know what I'm saying, like I would take 20 hours of school, work like 3 jobs, and really just I was really ingrained into hustle culture, right? But like E for you like really taught me like, hey, like you need to take care of yourself. Like in order to like do things like really well, like you need to like slow down, take a step back, and really do things that like one that like you like and do them really well. Like don't do a lot of things halfway done, but do them really well. You know what I'm saying? And Carl would tell me this stuff every time he see me. Like he would just ingrain in my mind, like you need to slow down and do what do stuff and do it really well. And so I think that is what prepared me like the most for like like having like a career is like one like learning to like take care of myself. We also did SWATs in E4 Youth, which are like strength, weaknesses, threats, and like opportunities for like growth or whatever. And it was where we were able to learn how to we were able to learn about ourselves. And there's this self-reflection piece that is ingrained into the curriculum at E4 Youth, where you're able to like reflect on those different things and ways to improve in your experiences, that really allow you to like grow as a person and really like be able to like acknowledge like the areas of improvement. E4 Youth also taught me that I don't know like so E4 Youth is like my first like real like job. Like before I like worked as like orientation, like my first job ever was as an orientation advisor. No, it wasn't. My second job was as an orientation advisor, and my third job was a job at Taco Ranch. or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So like E4U was like the fourth job like I've ever had. And it was like a weird like setup. So like the way E4U used to set up is like you said come to a couple of meetings like a week, maybe two or three, and then like most of the work that you do is like at home, like by yourself. And you just have to get it done by the next meeting and they're gonna ask you about it at the meeting and that's it. And I had never like worked a job where you didn't like consistently like have to be in like one setting for like a set period of time, like 9 to 5s or like, fast food jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to work, okay, you pull up at 8, you clock out at 9, you done. At E for you is you pull up for a meeting at 9, you leave, you'll come back, you pull up for another meeting at 7 p.m., you pull up at another meeting at 9 p.m., you know what I'm saying? And then you may do work at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. That's how it works. That's what it do. And it's just like I'd never like worked like that before or whatever. And I remember, during my senior year, like I started like, I started like driving for GoPuff or whatever. And like for GoPuff, you have to do like shifts or whatever. And it's like 6 hour shifts, like where you have to be at work consistently for like 6 hours. And I was just like, man, like when I was doing it, I was like, man, I've never like I haven't had to, do like something consistently for years. Like I've never like had to just like be in one setting for years. And I realized that like, if you use like one of the things that I valued in like jobs and like companies is like one, flexibility of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually like prefer like the virtual part or even just like not having to like sit in an office like all day. Like I can do work like on my own time and like still like come to meetings and like get everything done that I need to get done, like without like physically sitting there for 9 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a lot. So I don't know. I feel like it really like, taught me like what to like look for in jobs or like what like I value like the most. It taught me like how I should like prepare myself for jobs, stuff like that. It's just like some of like the things that like I learned like at E4.
That's so cool. And, yes, it's so important, that you touched upon this because I feel like, especially us, like recent grads, I feel like a lot of college grads or like even high school grads who just want to go directly into the field, they feel like they have to take any and everything because it's a job. And I really love the fact that you mentioned that, hey, like I love flexibility. That's what it is. I prefer to do my work at 3 in the morning instead of staying in the office from 9 to 5 all day. And that's totally okay. And I'm happy, that you was able to like pick out how you want your career. And I feel like that's so important for all creatives to know that you have the option to pick how you want your career and not a job telling you this is what you have to do.
Right. And I feel like Humberto was like prime example for that. Because now
Yes.
they like tell us that, but like Humberto did it. Like first of all, Humberto works at like 12 a.m. at night to like 5 in the morning. Like Humberto will send us emails at 3 a.m. And like I just be like, oh, what is this man doing up? Like, I'm out. I'm at Chelsea House. We studying for an exam. It's 3 in the morning. Humberto. Don't forget to turn in y'all time sheet at 11 a.m. Like what? Like this man, he really be doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I figure, it just like he's still putting in his hours. He's still getting his
Yeah.
work done. He not doing it at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Because for the 8 a.m., 9 a.m., I'll be tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, and all the stuff you do at E4 is like at night. So you know what I'm saying? So it's just like I didn't have to like wake up and be like exhausted all day. Like after I stayed up all night to study for an exam at to 3 in the morning and then have to get up for work at 9 a.m. or be at a work meeting at 10 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like our meetings were like, in the evening time.
Right.
So I don't know. I just really appreciated like, that we had like that like type of like work life flexibility. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Definitely important. So, and we talked so much great things about E4 Youth, but what are some of your like favorite memories like being in this program with E4?
Um, dang. There's so many good memories being here.
Right?
I think that there's so many things to choose from. E4 Youth is really like a family. You know what I'm saying? And so it's really just like the time like spent with people, and like the company, like the students, like my peers, coworkers, whatever you want to call them. They really my friends, gang. Like them my cousins. You know what I'm saying? And it was really just like the time that I got to like spend with them and like get to know them that like I remember like the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like in person or virtually, like we would always like chop it up like at meetings, like after meetings or whatever. Like, and it was just like our little like icebreaker activities, or like experiencing like new things together. Like I remember we had to do like some networking event. I don't know, Carl encouraged us to do like this networking event one time, and I remember we was all huddled up in this back room. We was all so scared to go and talk to these people at this like little holiday social or whatever. And like I was just like, I don't know what to say, like I don't know what I'm gonna do, like I don't even know, like how do you start a conversation with like a random person. And Carl was just like, oh, like y'all got this, like y'all can go out there and do it, like it'll be fine, you know what I'm saying. And I just like remember us like just being like so scared and then going out there and killing it. Like we networked with like so many different people, and like we just had like conversations, and we got numbers, emails, cards, and all this other type of stuff. And it's like, stuff that like we had never done before, that we were able to like experience together and like overcome those fears together. You know what I'm saying? It was just that family community that really just like made E4 Youth like E4. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that was like one of my favorite memories, just because we was all able to like pull it through together, because like we were struggling. It was the struggle. I was scared. I was
For
scared.
sure. Yeah, most definitely. I know it was definitely a struggle, but yeah, E4U definitely like has that support that's just like it just feels like home. Like when I walked in the building, I knew like, okay, yeah, I do like these people off the rip. So I'm happy that you had great experiences and memories with E4. So what are some advice that you would like to give like to students who are going into the creative industry or in UT?
I think my biggest advice to people going to the creative industry or EC would definitely be to take risk. I think that's one of like the most like prevalent things that's prevalent like in my own like creative story, and other people's story as well, is that you have to like take risks. Like the reason I was able to like be a part of like so many like amazing projects, the reason I was able to get be a part of E4 Youth or study abroad and do all of these like awesome things in college, was that I was able to take risks and put myself out there, in order to do things that made me uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like starting, at E4 Youth, I was just like, oh, like I'm gonna, apply for this job, whoop de whoop. Like it was a risk. You know what I'm saying? Like deciding like, okay, I can't be a creative mentor, I'll be a digital docent. Like, no, like I was not that creative. That was a risk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like just everything like when you take risks, you get greater outcomes, and you're able to like grow as a person, and you're able to um really like put yourself in uncomfortable situations, that allow you to grow. And I feel like whenever I even feel like when I said this during I said this in during like my award thing for like outstanding senior, but I also feel like it was like validated when I said it. I mean, not when I said it. At our commencement speech for graduation, he was also talking about like having like confidence in yourself and acting like with boldness, but really he was saying take risks. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that's like true for like all college students. You take risks when you join leadership. You take risks when apply for jobs that you think you may not be qualified for, or things like that. And I feel like they have the best outcomes. Like when I went to China for the first time, I took a risk because your girl put up at China with $75 in her account, and I was supposed to be there for a month. What was I gonna do? I don't know. I had no idea, but it worked out. But it was a risk. Because it was just like, who going to another country with $75? Nobody. But I did it. Wild and out, but I did. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's just little things like that, where you like take risks. Allows you to have amazing outcomes. I had an amazing outcome from that trip. Like I like gained like so many like network connections like with E4U. Like being here, like Carl took a risk on me when he was like, "Oh, like lead this project," and your girl had no idea what she was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I really encourage y'all to like really just like take risks and learn to be uncomfortable.
Yes, learn to be uncomfortable. I love that. Most definitely true. And I mean, you did take a lot of risks. I mean, you even took a risk coming to Austin, and that was a risk in itself.
Right.
So I applaud you, for taking your own advice and, taking those risks because if you would never took those risks, I mean, would we even be right here today? So,
Listen. Shoot, I
yeah,
took a risk coming to UT.
for real. And that was a risk in itself because,
I took a risk coming to college. I'm first gen college student. Okay. And honestly, I didn't even think I was smart enough to be like come to college. Like literally, like before you come to college, like you have to take the TSI test. And I took that TSI test like 3, 4 times, y'all. Like 3, 4 times. Like my daddy taking me to HCC like every day, like to take this test, and I'm failing this test 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 5 point, 10 points. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just in, and it came to the point where when I got to college, I had to take a remedial math class in order to like take a regular like college level math class because it was like I wasn't college ready for math or whatever. And it was just like, and it was like, dang, like I don't think like I'm smart enough to like be here. You know what I'm saying? Like if I can't pass this little test, like what makes you think I'll be able to make it through college? You know what I'm saying? Like that was a risk, like that was a
No, yeah,
risk. Like to
that was for sure a risk because that's exactly where we met. So
exactly where that we was in this class struggling,
still
like
struggling. We was
still
still struggling
struggling.
in the developmental class. We was still
Didn't know
struggling.
anything. You know?
But we just graduated this weekend. So
Yes, graduated, done. Like
graduated done.
imagine if I would have let that discourage me, and I would have been like, "Yeah, no, you're not smart enough to do this. You can't do this. Like, go back home, like, chill out, go get a job at something." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I took a risk, and I said, "I'm gonna come here anyways.
Hmm.
I take this developmental math, and I'm gonna do what it do and see what it do."
I'm
And
so happy you did.
girl, listen, it was a risk.
Yeah, for real, for real.
So,
But I mean, I'm so happy for you. You graduated. I mean, let the people know what's next for you. I mean, you got such a bright future ahead of you.
what's next for me is I'll be going to graduate school in New York. So I'm
Ooh,
super
ooh.
excited to be doing that or whatever. I'm also like going to be working on the Meet Me campaign with Creative Action as a social media manager. I was able to like get that job like through like E4U. Like E4U told me to get that job because Creative Action is like one of their partners, and so I was able to like work on a project with them during the school year, and it was like, oh, like we want to hire you, like here's a job or whatever. So like E4U really be out here helping people get jobs. So it's kind of the move. I ain't even gonna lie. But yeah, that's what I'm doing next. And I just really appreciate like E4U like so much for like being like such like a vital part of my like creative story and like really just helping me like being able to like get to know myself like as a person and being able to recognize and reflect on like my own leadership skills and how I'm creative and what ways that I'm creative and what skills I like and don't like. So I really appreciate that experience and I'm super excited to be doing all the things that I'm doing next.
Yes, I'm so excited for you as well. And congratulations on all your accomplishments. We know here at E4U you're going to do well. And we're so excited and happy for you for what you'll be doing in the future in New York this fall. Can't wait.
Listen,
Well, thank you so much, Jalesha, for coming through, talking today. Is there anything else you would like to say for the audience?
uh, I don't know. Shout out to Janaea for helping me do all of my college applications because
Shout
your girl,
out to Janaea.
Janaea work A4U. They really help you girl do it all. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to end stuff. I don't know why you do this to me. I don't know. I don't know. I encourage y'all to take risks. I encourage y'all to apply to E4U to learn about different ways that you can be creative, different fields that you can come into, and live your best life.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you all for joining us for our last Creative Pathways podcast episode of the season. But don't fret, we're definitely coming back with more. And if any of these powerful people, including Jalesha, that have stopped by and talked to us, touched you in any way, please visit e4youth.org to learn more about what we're doing here and also to be a part of our Creative Leadership Academy that's happening this summer, where you'll get to work with creatives and technology industry partners to provide, professional level training and employment opportunities to college age students and high school age students. So please tap in and learn and grow and actually get hired. Win-win. So I'm your host today, Chelsea. It was such a pleasure having you guys today. And until next time, until our next season, next fall, we'll see you later.
Bye.
Hook 'em.